Welcome to another KPASA Talk. This is Kevin Nethercott here with the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance, and we are still talking Barcelona. We can never get enough Barcelona and MWC. So we're excited today to have Raul Castanon-Martinez from S&P Global, as well as my colleague Robert Galop from CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hello, Kevin.
We're excited about this conversation. S&P Global is actually sponsoring an analyst track at our booth at MWC. And so we wanted to highlight a number of things that we'll be working on next week. And we wanted to share that information ahead of time and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to come by and stop by and see us and shake some hands and learn a little bit more about what we're doing in the CPaaS arena. Raul, welcome. Tell us a little bit about some of the work you've been doing recently, and then as part of our conversation, I think we want to highlight 4 key areas of growth that you're seeing, but really double down on items number 3 and 4.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. So I think we can probably kick off the conversation with a topic that I know both of you are very familiar with, which is the CPaaS enablement, meaning the opportunity for telcos with CPaaS. This is a topic that together with both of you at different times we've been looking at and for years, and we were always bullish on its potential. But what we have seen in terms of deployments and announcements over the past year since Mobile World Congress 2023, and even more over the past 2 months, that from my perspective signals that we will have a very busy 2024 with MNOs.
Oh, that's super exciting. Robert, you were in Barcelona last year. What are some of the key trends, or what are you seeing as these growth opportunities that Raul just mentioned?
Yeah, a couple of things. So the whole CPaaS enablement piece, Raul, you're correct. We've been talking about this since 2017, 2018, it feels like. But one big thing that we saw last year was the announcement of the GSMA Open Gateway initiative. And it really feels like that's kicked the entire enablement piece into overdrive with the carriers. In particular, we know that it's difficult for carriers to deploy new services like this, but with CPaaS enablers, whether it's InfoBip or Vonage, or we look at other members in the alliance such as Comviva, EnableX, SpeechLogix, these are all companies that have been delivering these technologies for years, and they're an easy bolt-on on top of the carriers around the globe. So we're seeing a lot of traction for the CPaaS enablers, especially within the alliance. And Raul, I think you were mentioning earlier that we've seen a lot of announcements here over the last few weeks in this space. So that's trend number 1, and I guess trend number 2. All combined, where we're seeing a significant uptick as we look at the schedule for MWC in terms of the number of sessions around CPaaS and the number of sessions around network APIs.
Right. I can't use my my line anymore that CPaaS is just an hour at someone else's show. I think we've got 10 plus hours and sessions across the week, as the industry now transitions to more investment into the CPaaS space, which we're clearly super excited about and looking forward to helping. Now, Raul, in some of the work that you've done recently, I wanted to go back and highlight kind of 4 areas of growth that you had mentioned. And so let's maybe just briefly touch on the first 2, but it is all about digitalization and CX. So you think that this is a growth area for the industry. So maybe share with us a little bit on where that's coming from.
Yeah, so from my perspective, we are still in many ways in early days of digitization of the customer experience. And the reason I say this is because even though we have seen a lot of companies embrace the digital customer experience, there's still so much room to grow. Just for context, in our market monitor and forecast, where we follow the growth of the CPaaS segment, we were noticing already double-digit growth through 2017, 2018. But then with the pandemic, there was a significant spike where for 2 years, it was almost 50% growth. Now, it slowed down with other segments going into 2023. So that was a bit of a tough year. But the surveys that we do at the consumer, but also IT enterprise level, we see still ongoing demand for digitization of the customer experience. And I think that since this is really the bread and butter for CPaaS and actually for telcos, we do expect that there will be an increase in demand for digital channels, digital channel engagement, and then there will be a cascading effect to other areas as well.
Now that makes a lot of sense, and I think as we look at things here at CPaaS, we agree. Robert, I know that you and I have been working a little bit around the CX topic, and so maybe share a little bit what's happening there and why we also agree that this is a key to growth.
Yeah, this is there. So we've seen digital out there for quite some time, and it feels like we're really getting to the point now where people are getting their heads wrapped around how digital can impact marketing campaigns, how digital can impact sales and such. So we've actually seen from our members and elsewhere in the industry some really amazing use cases and impact stories around when you bring multi-channel, omni-channel campaigns into your marketing mix, into your sales mix, the type of impact that has on your overall business and the impact that it has on the customer experience overall. So that's number one. And then number two, Apple's announcement at the end of last year around their support for RCS. We've always been wondering when was RCS going to become relevant? And that story has really changed here as we've come into 2024. And we're excited to see, one, how Apple actually implements RCS, but two, start to layer in those stories that we've been seeing from our partners here and members here at CPaaS.
Now, clearly, stories is what's critical here, right? I think when we talk about customer experience, it's the use cases that drive the usage. And so that's one of the things that we're definitely working on here is helping coach members in the industry as well on talking more about what's in it for the customer rather than the technology stack. And I think that'll also be another key part of helping CX grow to the level that we know that it can and impact that brand customer experience at the end of the day. So clearly CX is a key driver. I think Raul, I think in some of your reporting and research, you're also finding that trusted communications is a critical area within the industry. I know that we've had, some bad actors out there that have caused certain consumers and businesses to question some of the quality or numbers, or there's a number of different issues. But you see that maybe we're fixing some of this, and this will help the industry grow here this year?
Yeah, so the previous point that we were talking about, which is the expected growth in digital channels, so that has been building up. And what we have seen in tandem with the growth in digital channels is the misuse of these channels. So I'm sure everyone has experienced a dramatic rise in robocalls and spam SMS. But together with this, there has also been a significant increase in fraud. And this has many implications. So for companies that are going into the process of digitization of the customer experience, on one hand, it means they have to take the responsibility for fraud prevention and making sure that they can enable a safe transaction and interaction with their customers. And it's not only the digital merchants or transactions, it can be really at any point in the customer journey where they might experience some fraud opportunity. And then I think we can also mention that on the side of the organization, the problem with robocalls, SMS, and fraud, it has had an effect on the behavior of the end user. So what happens is that they will be less likely to take a call that may be from a legitimate business if they don't know who is calling them, and they may ignore a notification, an SMS message, if they don't know who's sending that, because they don't want to take any risks. So in terms of digitization of the customer experience, I think this brings up a major challenge for organizations, and it will require a multi-pronged approach, meaning enterprise, telcos, providers of cloud communications, the CPaaS vendors, and all of these parties working together to deliver trusted communications for the customer experience.
Absolutely, it's an industry-wide thing, and that's one of the reasons, Robert, we've put some initiatives forward on this front as well. Maybe share a little of those details, if you might.
Yeah, so first and foremost, the trust, the fraud and trust, or security and trust working group that we have here with the Alliance, we see a number of parties across the industry, both on the telco side as well as on the technology side, really raising their hand and saying, we want to help solve this problem. And to your point, Raul, this is going to require a multi-pronged approach. It is an industry-wide issue that needs to be addressed industry-wide. So things like our working group, we see the i3 forum with their trust in communications effort as well. This is a larger piece that everybody's really focused on, and it's encouraging to see companies taking this serious. I was just talking with another one of our members this week, and they're leveraging some really cool things with Gen AI and other data analytics pieces to start classifying these messages in real time so that they can filter out probable fraudulent communications before they actually hit the consumer. We're also seeing things such as branded calling and other technologies on the voice side. So back to Raul's point, multi-pronged approach, lots of things coming. We're excited to see a handful of those here at MWC here next week, and we'll continue to see those pop out here over the course of this year.
Right. Now, you just mentioned AI. We did make it 10 minutes into this before it came up. But Raul, as you've looked at the industry and the market, what types of use cases are you seeing? What are you seeing? What impact will AI have from your perspective?
Yeah, so there's a number of areas where we see an impact, and in the short term, meaning now, this year. First of all, just to finish up the last point that Robert was making, so certainly the threat landscape changes significantly with Gen AI. So there are different threats that organizations have to consider. So I think that kind of makes even stronger the point of trusted communications. Now, looking at a more positive impact, just tying it back to where we started the conversation, if we think about an exponential growth in the use of digital channels for business to consumer, but also consumer to application, employee to application, and it's exponential growth that we're looking at. And the question that comes up is how are organizations going to manage all of this? I think that a clear use case is in call centers or service centers if they are suddenly faced with additional channels that they have to monitor and manage a single conversation through different channels. It does become a very challenging task. So the good news is that GenAI is looking very promising in terms of helping organizations scale their customer service efforts. So I believe that this should shift the conversation away from the traditional approach in contact centers, which is deflection, to resolution. And the resolution can be, in many cases, for 80-20 of the queries, they can probably be automated with the help of AI. The difference with what we had before is that with Gen AI, there is more potential for a natural conversation, which has been the holy grail since forever. So I think that paints a very positive outlook in terms of scaling and automation, which is what organizations will be needing moving forward.
Right, right. Now, I know, Robert, you've been interviewing a number of our members here recently about use cases and so forth. How real is the AI piece? Is that something that's actually in the market, still in the pipeline? Give us a sense of how real it is and where it's going.
Yeah, it's incredible when we look across the landscape, how much ground has been covered in what. When was OpenAI and really come to market last year? It was February or March. It's amazing in 1 year how much ground has been covered. So we're already seeing use cases, and we'll see a lot of things come out at MWC around leveraging Gen AI in real time in those customer experiences. Raul, to your point around customer issue resolution and self-service. But we're also seeing a lot in terms of agent assist and speeding up workflows and increasing productivity internal to the organization. I know, Kevin, us here at CPaaS, we're leveraging AI a good bit, and the content that we're putting out and speeding up how quickly we can get new ideas out to the market. It literally is a game changer for the things that we've been able to do here at CPaaS. So I'm looking forward to MWC. I've got my dance card ready so that I can go hit all the shows and see all the demos, because I'm very excited to see everything that's going to be on display next week.
Yeah, clearly it'll play a completely different role even from a year ago. But if we think back to a year ago, the big news was really the announcement of the GSMA's Open Gateway initiative with OGI and a number of carriers that had signed up to join that. We here at the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance have been longer-term members of Kamara on the technical side. We are also a formal GSMA partner in working with them on OGI and the commercialization of that and the use cases and so forth. And so this, I think, is going to be the headline again this year. There's so much activity around this. And I don't even know, Raul, I don't think OGI and Kamara were in, previous reports. But now, as you look at the M&O market and how they're trying to optimize and commercialize their 5G networks. This is a big deal. So tell us a little bit, as this, I think, is a newer section or a new sector that you're really tracking closely. Share with us a little bit about what you've learned over the last number of months and how that'll impact us moving forward.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting to see the changes from Mobile World Congress 2023 up to this point, 1 week before the Mobile World Congress. And CPaaS enablement and the opportunity for MNOs, that's something that we track for many years. We've always been bullish on it, but I could say maybe cautiously optimistic. The reason for this being that there have been previous initiatives from the GSMA, from network operators, telcos, and then a lot of work on the side of CPaaS enablement vendors. And they were able to get some traction, I think, particularly over the past maybe 5 years or so. But we still remain cautiously optimistic, given that previous initiatives had really not picked up significant traction. Now, I did start looking into the GSMA Open Gateway initiative. I think I heard about it sometime in 2022. And then more information started coming out through 2023 after Mobile World Congress. Trying to learn more about it and engage with vendors and telecoms. But really, it has been, I think, probably October or so, and then November, December, January, February, where we saw significant activities. It's hard to keep up with the announcements coming from Infobip, Bonash, and I could name so many vendors, Radio, Conviva, and then on the side of the Telcos, Deutsche Telekom, the Spanish MNOs, then Brazil, then in the US, Verizon, the list just grew significantly. In fact, I was looking at my reports from a year ago, and just the number of vendors and mobile operators that are now have formally announced that they will be joining this initiative, and there's actually even live deployments at this point. And we're still a week away from Mobile World Congress, so I'm sure there will be even more announcements next week.
Right. No, absolutely. I'm certain of that as well. As we look at Barcelona next week, Robert, clearly OGI and Camara and the APIs are going to be a key theme for us as well. Maybe share a little bit about what's happening actually at Mobile World Congress and how people can come find us, and Raul and S&P Global and some of their NLS tracks.
Yeah. So to touch on Open Gateway real quick, as Raul said, it really feels like we've barely seen the tip of the iceberg now for all of the initiatives that are underway. Certainly Brazil and Infobip announcing with their 3 largest mobile operators deployment into production, and the fact that they've got use cases in production today in one entire country. Huge announcement. As you said, Raul, Verizon and Vonage making their announcements. So this is real. And in terms of the CPaaS related sessions that we're tracking and that we'll be attending and reporting on at Mobile World Congress, network APIs represent over half of those sessions next week. So we're gonna have our work cut out for us, making sure that we hit all of those sessions, and we'll be reporting out on those in social media. as well as getting the news back and all of the big developments and use cases to our members through the KPOS community. But also, Kevin, as you had mentioned, at our booth at booth 6D54 at the event, we're going to have several analyst sessions. Raul will be there, but we're also going to have other members from Kaleido Intelligence also covering the Telco API space, talking about some of the big developments. And then our members, so Rate Assist, InfoBip, and others will also be doing live demonstration of technologies at their booth. So we encourage you to visit them there. We have a link. I don't know, Kevin. I'll actually put this in the content for this video, but we have a link to our ultimate CPaaS cheat sheet for MWC, which it's just exciting that we actually have a need for a cheat sheet this year. Pretty cool stuff. So we'll have that out there with all of the individual sessions and meetups that everybody needs to make sure that they hit in order to keep up with everything CPaaS related.
Right. No, I think the way the industry is going, I'm thinking of it more as a treasure map than a cheat sheet where you know where to go and have the right conversations. We definitely do want to highlight again the role that S&P Global is playing with us next week as a partner. Each day at lunchtime, I believe we're scheduled at, is it noon or at 1 o'clock that we have an analyst track each day. And so come by the booth. You'll be able to get a meaningful update on market information, but more importantly, a casual conversation with our team, with Raul. And I think it's a great opportunity to kind of, collaborate and share what you're finding at the show and how that's all working out as well. So Raul, as we get ready for Barcelona, what are some last parting words here that you might have that you'd like to share?
Well, like we said, there's probably going to be tons of announcements and information. If our listeners are going, I definitely could encourage you to use a cheat sheet because you're definitely going to need it. I myself have marked a few of the related events, and there's just so many, as well as demos in the booth of the different vendors, as well as telcos. So yeah, it's going to be a busy week, and I'm sure we'll be super tired by the end, but it looks like a very, very exciting event.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to meeting up in person there in Barcelona. Everyone have a safe flight, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate your time.